Drama in Alp Navarre's love life, the leak that flipped the script, and the whispers that just wouldn't die down. An unexpected storm brewing around Alp Navarre's and Alina Baz has spilled over into the public eye, and what started as a soft, private spark has ignited into a full-blown online spectacle. We at Turkish Spotlight Secrets bring you the untold angles, the moments between the lines, and the hidden emotions that turned a simple relationship into a lightning rod for admiration, resentment, and raw protective instinct. Tonight we unpack the wave of messages that chased Alina after the romance surfaced, the silent rules of a Cappadocia escape, the quiet dignity of an ex left in the past, the noise coming from faraway fan bases, and, above all, a woman's decision to shield a child who never asked to be dragged into a grown-up fight. From the outside, the glossy world of social media feels like a daily sunrise, warm filters, curated smiles, perfect timing. But anyone who's been close to a screen for long enough knows how quickly the tone turns cold. Alina, a star who has always navigated fame with poise, felt that chill the moment her connection with Alp stopped being a rumor and became a headline. Comments multiplied overnight, each more invasive than the last. Her feed, once a place for set glimpses, book stacks, coffee cups, a beloved pet, and occasional family fragments, turned tense, defensive. Followers became detectives. Strangers became judges. And somewhere in the middle, two people tried to keep something sincere intact. Let's rewind to where it began. Alp and Alina did not explode onto the scene with a staged reveal. Their story flickered in under the radar. Anyone who watches patterns recognized the early hints: a song shared in different stories on the same day, a crop of the same skyline from another angle, a coffee chain that inexplicably appeared in both feeds on the same afternoon. No side-by-side selfies. No winks. Just a rhythm. A quiet companionship that revealed itself in the details, likes that weren't random, captions that rhymed without trying. To those who make a living reading between the pixels, it was enough to ask, softly at first, then out loud, is there something happening here? Then came the leak that sent everything spinning. DMs that Alina wrote from a secondary account surfaced, and in them, she acknowledged what the timeline only suspected. Yes, she and Alp had been seeing each other for roughly a month. And crucially, something the louder accounts conveniently ignored, Alp had spoken directly and respectfully to his ex before anything grew serious. No secret overlaps, no sneaking around. A clean handoff from the past to the present, with clarity. Overnight, the narrative shifted from "is it real?" to "it's official." The questions didn't end, they changed shape. Now it was, how long, how deep, how public? The answer arrived in Cappadocia. If there's a stage in Turkey where romance becomes visible, it's that dream of stone, air, and dawn light. Hot air balloons like floating confessions. Sandstone curves like an embrace. Alp and Alina chose that landscape, and they didn't choose it casually. The trip wasn't some frenzy escape. It was a soft declaration. A birthday fell during the getaway, and one comment beneath a series of golden hour photos did what months of speculation couldn't. Alp wrote, "Happy birthday. Here's to many more beautiful moments together." No tricks, no code words. Just a sentence worth 1,000 headlines. Screenshots traveled faster than the balloons in the sky. The relationship, now impossible to deny, ceased to belong to rumor and became something the world felt permitted to dissect. And that is when the storm truly broke. Alina took to her followers not with a showdown, but with clarity. She said the number of cruel messages had soared, and a chilling detail rippled through the feeds. Some of those messages weren't even directed at her. They were written about a child in her life, a little one she has always protected and occasionally featured with restraint, never showing too much. The idea that anyone would weaponize a child to wound an adult was enough to turn confusion into outrage among those with a conscience. But the trolls did not care for conscience. The comments kept coming, as if the mere fact of Alina loving Alp made her a target to be pounded until she receded from view. Where did so much hostility come from? It's not hard to recognize the pattern. Alp has grown a massive following beyond Turkey's borders, with intense pockets of fandom in Spain, Italy, Brazil, and across Latin America. Watchers of his career know his image carries a certain romantic mythology abroad, a face associated with tenderness and grand gestures. For segments of that fan universe, the idea of him loving someone in real life threatens the fantasy they hold so tightly. Instead of celebrating a human being finding joy, a possessive impulse kicks in. They dread any woman who dares stand next to him. And the old reflex springs to life: blame her. Make her the thief. Fold internet anonymity into false courage and call it passion. For Alina, the fiercest pain lived in a choice she should never have been forced to make. She decided to limit her family's presence on her platforms, especially the child who had become collateral damage in someone else's obsession. It was not grandstanding. It was not a publicity move. It was instinct. The kind that shows up when you realize the safest thing to do is to hide what is softest from a world that sharpens itself at your expense. Her longtime followers felt the difference immediately. The bright little glimpses dimmed. The comments section grew heavier, then quieter, as she started filtering, deleting, and blocking more often than before. A wall rose. A necessary one. Meanwhile, what of the past? Speculation circled around Alp's ex, the person who would have been most likely to comment, vent, or retaliate. She did none of those things. There were no public jabs, no dramatic unfollows, no posturing. Everything about her presence suggested composure. Behind the scenes, friends close to Alp insisted what the leak had already hinted at: he hadn't entered this new chapter without a conversation. There had been a respectful conclusion before there was a beginning. The kind of closure that leaves no room for scandal, even when scandal would have made a louder headline. For Alp, the dilemma came at him from three sides at once: love, fans, and work. His career has never been more global. Every casting meeting abroad, every campaign, every streaming negotiation is affected by how loved or hated he is online. The same audience that fuels opportunity can, with a coordinated wave of anger, threaten it. In private, he reportedly vented to friends with a mix of confusion and exhaustion: why does my happiness bother so many people? It's a question as old as the public stage. Fans confuse affection with ownership. They turn support into surveillance. Suddenly, a man's simple wish to hold someone's hand becomes a political act in the comment section. If you look at the hate from a psychological angle, the pattern is as familiar as footsteps. A star's romantic hero aura has been monetized and fantasized about for so long that any living woman is cast as a rival to the fantasy. Patriarchal reflexes push blame toward the woman, often with a fervor that disguises itself as loyalty. The curtain of the internet gives temporary courage to those who would never speak that cruelty in a cafe or on a street. And jealousy turns nimble, finding new language to justify itself. The ancient sentence becomes modern again: we don't deserve you, but she certainly doesn't. So where did that leave Alina in recent days? She recalibrated. Posts about her shoots and projects remained, but family content narrowed to near zero. Comment filters went from polite to firm. The number of accounts quietly blocked increased. She began carving out private space where public space once stood, and with that boundary came a measure of calm. People close to her say she is steady most of the day and then suddenly overwhelmed when she considers what could have happened if she'd kept sharing as before. That is how stress behaves: it waits for a quiet room and then speaks the loudest. And Alp? He doubled down on presence. Not public performative gestures, but private support. The kind that says, I see what they're throwing and I refuse to let it land. He encouraged Alina, reminded her of the difference between noise and truth, pushed the idea of a respectful statement to fans in the languages where the noise was loudest. Those close to the couple whisper that he is serious in a way he hasn't been in a long time. Cappadocia wasn't a whim, it was a breath taken together before life sped up again. There are plans brewing for another short escape, away from scrolling eyes, a reminder that love is lived offline even when it is judged online. Will it last? The industry is split, as always. Some say this is the most balanced relationship Alp has allowed himself to enter, two adults with craft, schedules, and boundaries. Others warn of the obvious: the pressure is not gentle. Sustained online hostility can kill the mood, then the bond. Work calendars don't ask permission to collide. And privacy, once punctured, is hard to stitch shut. But then there is the counterweight: maturity, mutual respect, a shared understanding that protection of the vulnerable isn't just public relations, it's a life choice. Time, that stubborn judge, will decide what the hashtags can't. What we know is this: the tale of Alp Navras and Alina Boz has every ingredient the public can't look away from. A quiet beginning that outwitted the watchers. A leak that turned a whisper into proof. A sunlit trip to a place designed by nature to frame the feeling. A comment that turned into a vow in most people's minds. A wave of rage arriving from faraway screens. A woman drawing a line and saying, "Not past this one, not through a child." An ex choosing grace. A man reflecting on what love costs when love is public property. All of it together has already etched this story into the season's gossip memory. And so the conversation continues, because gossip is just another name for curiosity dressed in drama. Do you believe this relationship has the spine to stand against the pushback? Do you think fans who say they love a star can learn to love the human being too? Or is that lifetime of fantasy too strong to set aside when real life enters the frame? Tell us where you stand. Drop your thoughts, your predictions, your hopes under this video, and let the debate be loud but respectful. If you want the next chapter the moment it breaks, subscribe to Turkish Spotlight Secrets, tap the bell, and keep your seat. The balloons rise, the sun lifts, and somewhere under that sky, two people are trying to write their own ending without asking permission.